Hello, and welcome to a bonus episode of the Crimson Misery podcast. I'm not going to count this as an actual episode, so to speak, but I still wanted to get this out here. Just wanted to say a few words on Indiana football because I really didn't want to talk. I don't really want to talk about it too much on Monday. I feel like there's just way too much that's going to be happening. There are way too many storylines to get to. So I want to just bring a few, I guess, minor stories in the fray along with it. Um, I mean, what do I really say? I mean, Indiana got their asses handed to them by Ohio State. Congratulations to the Buckeyes. It sucks, and I'm just like, after such a terrific start to the year, 10-0, and then you kind of have this brilliantly devised team led by Ryan Day, and Will Howard had a much better game than I thought he would have. Um, he had the celebration where he took the cigarette out of his mouth, quote unquote, and then uh, threw it on the ground, and then crushed it with his foot. Did that gesture. I mean, what more can you really say on that? After leading 7-0, it was just all Ohio State, and I mean, I'm not gonna moan or complain about Ohio State running up the score. I if you and I think Kurt Signetti has the same sort of mindset where he believes that if you call someone out, early on in your tenure, and you have a reputation for kind of talking shit, then you shouldn't be too worried when someone runs up the score like that. You kind of expect it. You take it on the chin. I think Kurt Signetti handled it pretty well. And all I gotta say is for Indiana, and since the game, there has been some good news for IU football in terms of where they'll end up in the college football playoff standings, and in terms of other teams. Ole Miss lost, Colorado lost, and BYU lost just about 20 minutes ago as I'm recording this. So a few other teams in contention for the CFP are basically all but done. I think the Big 12 is a one bid league for the college football playoff. I don't think they get any at large. I think the conference championship winner is going to be the only one there. And we'll see. I mean, Alabama, I think, is, if they haven't started already, they're starting soon, but they'll be playing. Texas A&M is also playing Notre Dame as well. So a few other games in the mix. But yeah, regardless of the outcomes of those games, because they're all like very early in action, all Indiana has to worry about is beating Purdue. That's all they need to do in order. I think if they win that game with the results that have currently that are have gone final, all Indiana has to do is beat Purdue. This loss sucks. I'm not happy about it. I'm not in a good mood, but I think if you take a couple steps back and you look at the bigger picture, Indiana should still be in 11-1 record if they do end up beating Purdue, which they should. And but again, that's why they play the games. And I think regardless of the outcome of that game, well, they should win. But I mean, the other games, regardless of the outcomes of the other games, Indiana should still be in. And if not, that's going to be a real downer. I'm just saying it because this season for Indiana has been more than I could have ever dreamed about. And I think there's still more to come. I really do. This team is still very talented and well coached, and I just it'd be such a shame for it to end in such a very downer type way. So I'm still trying to keep my head up, but yeah, I mean, Ohio State did make me a little daunted today. I must admit. So that's all I have to say about IU football for now. And let's get in the from the gridiron to the hardwood, we have a little drama circulating with one Ed Cooley. And oh my goodness. So for those of you who are not aware, Georgetown, who Ed Cooley is now the head coach of, did not play Illinois. And I you're probably wondering if you're listening to this podcast, or and if you are not aware, what does Illinois have to do with any of this? Georgetown didn't play Illinois. Well, that's certainly what I had suspected. Like Ellen, I don't recall this game being on the schedule, but Ed Cooley decided to call out Illinois when because now they have Illinois transfer Jaden Epps, and they he had a pretty good game, but decided to call out Illinois, not really by name, but made it very clear who he was talking about by calling them a bullshit school. And I, Ed, what are you doing there, buddy? What are you doing? And I, oh my gosh. So you're Ed, you're like literally gonna make me defend Illinois. Come on, dude. Come on. And why say this? I'm not sure. It's been causing a lot of stir on Twitter, so it's very much just kind of like a what the fuck are you talking about, dude? And again, as Craig Choate points out, Ed Cooley has three career NCAA tournament wins in 19 seasons. So this was when he was at Providence, and now with Georgetown, and then um, was he out of school before that? Regardless, so Brad Underwood. I'm not the biggest Brad Underwood fan, but to his credit, he does have quite a few NCAA tournament wins under his belt when he was with Stephen F. Austin, and then he didn't have any in his one season at Oklahoma State. But then for Illinois, he's been quite successful, I would say, and especially making the Elite Eight, where he had three NCAA tournament wins in last season alone. So Providence fans also just despise Ed Cooley now because he left for Georgetown, their Big East rival, and then Illinois fans are now wanting his head on a pike. So I'm not sure where Ed Cooley was trying to. I know he probably wanted to sound a little more badass than he sounded, but he just came across as such a loser and a sore for just for a transfer to your school. I'm not sure what exactly you're getting on about, but that's very strange. Well, anyway, so that I'm still just like in shock that he would just say that out of nowhere. So let's move on from that to a couple of results. Um, on the women's side, you have this is a game I got wrong. USC lost at home to Notre Dame. One of the biggest games of the weekend, along with South Carolina UCLA, which will be on tomorrow. Hannah Hidalgo with 24 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, just an overall like fantastic game. And then you have Olivia Miles dropping 20, went 4 or 5 from distance. But then USC, Juju had 24, Kiki Iriafen had 15, and Talia Van Olhofen, the Oregon State transfer, had 10. But what really sticks out, USC hit just 1 3 in the entire game out of 13 3-point attempts. That's not going to win you many ball games. So, and for Notre Dame, you have Olivia Miles hitting 4, and then a couple others having one apiece, including Hidalgo. But USC, I may have to rethink my prediction. It may just be South Carolina that just runs the floor again. Um, it just really they really just did not look that great. And Notre Dame's a really good team, don't get me wrong, but especially at home, losing by double digits is not something that I really anticipated. And especially Notre Dame closing the game on like bookending the game with a really great first quarter and really great fourth quarter. I I may have to give Notre Dame a bit more props than I would have imagined doing, even though I still think Notre Dame is going to be like a top 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. So, and then game I wasn't able to watch. It was Indiana Columbia. On the women's side, Indiana wins, so they are now 3-2. They will face Baylor tomorrow, I believe. Yes, the 24th. So, uh, and, Baylor probably wins. I'm still just in kind of like a bitter mood from the Ohio State beatdown, but that's about all I have on that. And then a couple of surprising results. Uh, Duke beating Arizona by 14 on Friday, 69-55. Arizona may just not be that good. They look Caleb Love just looks lost right now. He really has not been his last year's Pac-12 Player of the Year. He has not played up to that level yet. He just does not look very good. He didn't look good against Wisconsin. He did not look good here, and Duke really took advantage of that. And Duke really needed a game like this after the Kentucky loss, but Cooper Flag had 24 points, 6 rebounds, basically was just all over the floor. And then had 13, and then Arizona again. Jaden Bradley had a pretty good game, 18 points. KJ Lewis 12, but again, Caleb Love just 8 points, 1 for 9 from three, 3 of 13 from the floor. Like, dude, that's bad. Like, you're Caleb Love, right? You're like like one of the most talented players in college basketball, and it was really a surprising result, to say the least. And then Baylor got really tired from the two overtime game against St. John's. Still like a fantastic game, but they looked tired against a very, very well rested Tennessee team who handed Virginia a pretty wide margin of defeat. And then the final score, even though it was a 15-point win, like it still was not that close. Watching the game, Tennessee had that game just within the first like 15 minutes. They were Oh man, yeah, 47 to 20 at halftime. Norchad Omir had a pretty good game, 22 points. VJ Edgecombe, I feel good for him, having 20 points, even though it was a losing effort. At least having that sort of game in your home country. But guys, we have to start talking about Chaz Lanier. Guys, girls, whatever gender you are, we have to start talking about Chaz Lanier. He's insane. This dude is a fantastic 3-point shooter. And Tennessee has multiple pretty good 3-point shooters this year, something that Rick Barnes really has not boasted about too much at his time here at Tennessee. I mean, obviously last year they had um, Dalton Connect, and when he was healthy, Santiago Vescovi was a really good 3-point shooter, but not like to this sort of level. With another experience from Jordan Gainey, 16 points, 3 of 6 from three, and then Chaz Lanier 7 for 10 from three. Uh, Dude is just a baller. I love watching Chaz Lanier play. He had two really good games in the Bahamar tournament, so I got to give Chaz Lanier a ton of credit. I got to give Tennessee a lot of credit, and Zakai Ziegler 9 assists. Dude's great. And Tennessee is going to be I know teams like Alabama and Auburn are going to be who people name first in the SEC men's side, but Tennessee is going to be competitive as well. So you have to watch out for Tennessee. It kind of like watching Tennessee kind of reminds me, not in terms of like the style of, excuse me, the defense that they play, but kind of those like late 2000s, early 2010s Syracuse teams, with guys like CJ Fair and Raheem Christmas and Fab Mello, RIP, and Baimu Cicada, Jeremy Grant, like all those guys. They were just athletes. They were so long and lengthy, and they could just like chase down anything that they could. And those defenses were just smothering. Trust me, as an Indiana fan, I know this for a fact. And so, um, yeah, that's just who this team reminds me of. Is those like not in terms of like offense or anything, because I think they're more skilled offensively than a lot of those Syracuse players were, maybe minus like Fair and Grant, but um yeah, just Tennessee. Watch out for them. And then last game I guess to get to was the Nebraska Creighton game. Oh my goodness. I may need to I still think Kalkbrenner overall might be the player of the year, but 4 points all from the line. He didn't hit a field goal. He took just one three. That was his only field goal attempt in 39 minutes. And you have Steven Ashworth, who went down with an injury. I'm not sure of the update just yet, but Pop Isaac said 25. They took a lot of threes. Creighton did, which again, that's their offense. That's the offense that Greg McDermott has always loved to run, even when Dougie McBuckets was there, and they had guys like Ethan Wragge and Austin Chapman. But that's not going to win you like every single game. And Nebraska took advantage of that with Jawan Gary having 16 points, Bryce Williams having 16. Uh, guy, I mean, five Nebraska players were in double figures this game, and that balance for Fred Hoiberg is pretty pretty good for going on the road against Creighton, holding Ryan Kalkbrenner, the potential player of the year in the Big East, to 4 points. That's a result I was not expecting, and my goodness, if you're Creighton, plenty of room to bounce back, but you gotta maybe throw it in a little bit more to your 7 footer Ryan Kalkbrenner and have him actually work around the rim. I'm not saying like don't step out and shoot like maybe one or two threes a game, but you just clearly didn't take advantage of that, and it's going to be depending on how long Ashworth might be out. It's it might be a little worse, but on that note, um, really that's all I have for right now. Again on Monday um, I'll break down more of the tournaments that are going to be happening, especially going more in depth with the battle for Atlantis on the women's side, and then a lot of the other men's tournaments that we're hitting on Thanksgiving week. So just wanted to post this brief episode. It's not episode 6 or anything, but I just wanted to get this out a little bit shorter, but hopefully it's just as sweet. So anyway, thanks for listening, and I also forgot. Yeah, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your different podcasts, rate the show 5 stars. If you're listening on YouTube, you can like the video, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe potentially, and tell other people about the pod. So if you also want to reach out to me with any ideas for a segment, or you want me to go into detail about uh, your favorite team or a different player that you want me to break down, you can email the pod at crimsonmiserypod@gmail.com. Thanks so much for listening, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend.